Shudder is back once again with another original. This is an original series, a limited series, I would assume. I was assuming going into this that this was going to be an anthology series, but no. This all takes place in this motel, but Hell Motel, I think it's gonna have like 8 episodes. Uh They released the first two, so I'm gonna just give you my thoughts on the first 2 episodes. Pretty straightforward story for the most part. You have the opening with this newlywed couple trying to, usher in the fact that they're married, yada yada yada, and we get introduced to our killer. And right off the bat is really interesting. They set up some interesting things with not only this newlywed couple, but the people that kind of check them in that might tie into something later. We'll have to wait and see. But then it picks up and we get introduced to our main batch of characters. They all get invited to this motel by Portia and Ruby. They are the host. And the interesting thing about this group of individuals is they all have specific backgrounds and they're all into true crime. And this is why they all have been invited to stay the weekend here. But then things just get really fucking weird as they stay there. You know what I'm saying? But to kind of give you a little information about each individual character, somebody like Paige, which she's set up to be our final girl. She's used to kind of being in these roles. Like she used to reenact playing Caitlyn in movies and whatnot. And there's an interesting storyline with her character, her being replaced, being like kind of like the old actress that was the final girl at the time, and now she's being kind of replaced. You have Blake, where he's like a podcaster. Kawan, he is an artist. Crow, he's more of like a spiritual guy. Adriana, she is pretty much like the freak of the group. You'll see why going to like episode 2 and stuff. They all have interesting backgrounds and specific reasons why they were chosen. So then they have dinner, and this is literally spirit cooking, where they have the chef, Chef Hemingway or whatever his name is. He comes out and they come out with this meal that is obviously meat, but it's made to look like the corpse of Caitlyn, and even going as far as drinking blood. Very weird ritualistic kind of things going on. You know what I'm saying? You definitely have themes of Satanism throughout this, and different people that may or may not be a Satanist in this, but it's a really weird way to kind of welcome your guest. But speaking of unwelcome guests, we have these 2 mystery strangers that kind of come in and ask if they can kind of just get shelter while they let the storm pass, because they live in their RV, and they are automatically rude. More so Ruby than Portia. But Ruby just says, like, you're not welcome here. You can stay on the lot, but just don't, mingle with our guests or anything. Just don't be doing weird shit. But we'll get back to these strangers in a moment, because, Paige kind of is the one that kind of steps out of the motel to go check on these 2, and they recognize her, and they try to act a lot of just pretty much nonchalant and just act like a fan of Paige and whatnot, because they recognize her from these movies she used to do. And once she leaves the RV, she comes across the killer that we saw in the beginning of the episode, but it ended up just being like a prank. So not only do they have to kind of stay at this weird motel, they also are liable to get terrorized by Ruby or Portia at any given moment, which makes it an interesting element of surprise at first, where it's just like you don't know if this is the real killer or just Ruby or Portia just trying to scare somebody for promo. But that's where we kind of get our first kill with the cook. The cook is the first one to actually be killed in a sauna. Ironically, you know what I'm saying, he was really cooked alive, and Ruby's the one that finds her, and she screams bloody murder. Then the people that were staying in the RV, their RV blows up, and now we just don't know what the hell is kind of going on, which shifts things into episode 2, where we kind of see Ruby and Portia before they start to redo the whole entire motel to kind of get people in there and invested. And pretty much this was all like Ruby's kind of idea to kind of get Portia to buy this place, because she's like, anybody that's into true crime will line up to kind of come to this hotel. Then it picks up, you know, right where the RV blows up and everybody's just kind of really pissed off, and Ruby's trying to get just everybody back indoors so they could just figure everything out. And, you know, tensions are extremely high right now, and everybody's pointing the fingers at Ruby and Portia for this, not knowing that there's a lot more things at play here. And this is where we also get revealed that the RV strangers are actually killers themselves, and they're thinking like, oh wait, do we have a copycat? And they have no idea who could possibly have killed the cook, so they're going to have to kind of split people up to kind of figure out who is the killer. So that is probably the most interesting storyline thus far in this entire series, and everybody's trying to just figure out what's going on. You have Ruby and Portia just kind of at each other's throats. Adriana and old boy, you know, start to kind of get it on, you know what I'm saying? So there's some people that are freaking out. There's other people that are actually being turned on by all of this chaos kind of going on. Really weird, bizarre stuff. But Portia and Ruby have this really bad fight, this little back and forth. And it's kind of a shame because, you know, what ends up happening to Portia is, you know, after their argument, they're gonna go to sleep, and Portia gets killed in her sleep in a pretty brutal way, where, you know, her heart is taken out. And this is where Ruby finds Portia, and that's how pretty much the episode ends. But like I said, like throughout this whole entire episode, it's just kind of everybody pointing fingers at one another and forming alliances. Somewhat interesting stuff. I don't really connect with any of the characters. Like I said, there's some interesting characters and plot lines, and I want to see where this goes. I hope it does kind of pick up. The first 2 episodes are solid. I was kind of worried after the first episode because it didn't really move me or do anything to wow me. But like I said, there's enough there with like the serial killers that are amongst them trying to find who the actual killer is that killed the cook, and, you know, just the whole mystery behind this hotel within itself. And we're going to get a lot of answers moving forward. But let me know your thoughts on these first 2 episodes. How are you liking the series so far? Are you locked in, or did the first 2 episodes really do nothing for you and you're not going to go and watch the rest of the series? Let me know how you feel about it. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.